Let's click Start Game. Training. We're going to start with Getting Started and Basic Construction. This tutorial, presented by famous rocket scientist Werner von Kerman himself, covers the basics of rocket constructions in the vehicle assembly building. He's waiting for you down there and is always in high demand. Don't dally. Basic Construction. Welcome to today's lecture on vessel construction. I'm Werner von Kerman. Whether you want to put a satellite into orbit, make a transcontinental flight, or step onto the very surface of the moon, you're going to need to build yourself a ship. It should be pretty easy, even if you're not a famous rocket scientist like myself. Overview. In this tutorial, I will first show you around the Kerbal Space Center, then take you to the vehicle assembly building, where you'll learn how to construct a simple ship. We'll cover adding and removing parts, what the parts do, how to change the performance settings of the parts which have that option, and how to control staging. At the end of the tutorial, you will have a craft fit for a quick hop from the launch pad. At each step, I will lock out all controls other than the ones you need for that step. If you still manage to mess up, you can press the back button to go back and fix things. Let me move the camera. I'm not really sure where to put the camera, to be honest with you. It's going to get in the way no matter where I put it. The Kerbal Space Center. We are now at the Kerbal Space Center. I'll give you a quick rundown on how to get around. The Kerbal Space Center, KSC for short, is home to the pinnacle of Kerbal endeavor and achievements for space exploration. Using the facilities you can see here, you will be able to manage your space program, create rockets and planes, track your Kerbal explorers as they roam the solar system, find exciting new uses for explosive substances, and, in case of emergency, hire more Kerbals. To find out about each of the facilities, you can hover your mouse over them or the facility buttons. If you need to repair a structure, you can do this by right-clicking them. Take some time to hover the mouse over the buildings and see what they each are. And when you're ready to enter the vehicle assembly building, enter the vehicle assembly building, the VAB. We're going to left click the VAB, which is this building right here. Inside the VAB. Very good. What you see in the middle of the screen is the construction area. This is where the parts are placed and your craft is constructed. On the left side of the screen is the parts toolbox. It will show all the parts you have available in each of the different categories. Once there are any to pick, that is. Select a command module. If you want your craft to be controllable, you need a command module. And it's best to make it the first part you place. This part will either contain some plucky Kerbal crew or an automated pilot mechanism. As we're just starting, there's only one choice. Go ahead and pick that command module from the Pods tab. Pods, and let's select. Looking around. After at least one part is placed, you can look around with the following controls. Orbit the camera, move the camera up and down, and zoom the camera. I do this by holding down the right mouse button. You can use the mouse wheel which is this right here. And you can hold down the shift button and use the mouse wheel at the same time to zoom in and out. That's how I do things. Next, adding a parachute. If you like your pilot to be able to make more than one flight, he or she will have to return safely to the ground on Kerbin. Parachutes are a simple way to make sure that happens. They can be found on the Utility tab, right here. When you're choosing parts, you can view the details of available parts by hovering over them in the toolbox. When the info is visible, most parts have an additional information window which can be opened with a right click. Note that the parachute states the effective diameter in each state and what the maximum safe speed for deployment is. So this max safe deploy speed at 264 meters per second. That's almost the speed of sound. Go ahead and select the Mark 16 parachute by left-clicking on it, then move it to the top of the command pod so that the green sphere at the bottom of the parachute lines up with the green sphere at the top of the pod. Click again to attach. If I remember right, these green spheres are called node stack. Next, adjusting part options. Some parts, like our parachute here, have configurable options. To see these, we need to right-click on the parachute we just attached to the pod. Do that now, and you will see the available parameters. On the parachute, you will see that we can adjust our altitude and the atmospheric pressure at which to open. That setting can be quite useful on distant worlds. That's true, especially if they have a different kind of atmosphere, like Duna or Lathe. For now, let's check that the opening height on the chute is at least 1,000 meters. Because safety is the Kerbal way after all. For the minimum pressure slider, move it to a bit to the right to 0.2. So that's right here to 0.2. This is the gotcha that most people get stuck on. This part right here, this step. So we're going to move it to 0.2. This setting prevents the chute from activating until the atmospheric pressure is above the configured value. On Kerbin, 0.2 is about 9 kilometers in altitude. So even if you stage early and arm the parachute, it will wait until then to activate. You can hide these options by right-clicking on the background scene or picking up another part. When you're happy with that, we can proceed. Hey Beef Supu, how's it going? How was your week? We're doing tutorials today. We're recording right now, actually. So if you guys comment your stream avatars, it's going to show up on the YouTube video. Add a solid motor. Next up, we're going to need something to make us go. Click on the Engines tab on the left to show the available engines and solid rocket motors. Grab one and connect it to the bottom of the pod. You may need to zoom or move the camera to be able to do so. Next. Oops! I forgot you're just starting out. You're not a famous rocket scientist. And to make that craft survivable as it stands, now you have to be better at rocket science than me. Ha! Impossible. The problem with that craft is that this solid rocket is too powerful for the payload. It will either burn up on ascent from going too fast, or burn up coming down. Even if you survive that, the craft's mass will cause it to fall too fast for the parachute to operate properly, and you hit the surface before it could stop you. Okay, I promise to teach you how to change that to make it work later. I promise to teach you how to change that to make it work in a later tutorial, but for now, let's continue. Well, at least this way I get to tell you about removing parts. Pick up the BACC thumper, which is this right here, and either drop it back over the parts toolbox or press delete. I usually just drag it over to the parts toolbox and then left click again to make it go away. Next, the right solid motor. Instead, let's add the solid motor that's a better match for a ship this size. At the start of your career, you will have what I consider rubbish parts. Literally, the motor here looks like and may well be a converted trash can. That said, it does have enough oomph to get this little craft moving skyward, and quickly. As you progress, you will be able to unlock more engines and other parts. For now though, let's pick up the RT-5 flea and connect it to the bottom of the pod. I'm going to left click, drag it over, and left click again. Next, the staging stack. The staging stack. Nice one! You've built the simplest survivable craft possible. You could go launch this right now, but it might be safer to explain one other thing first. In the bottom right, you will see the staging stack. It's the box with the numbered 0 and icons for the parachute and engines in it. This stack shows us which parts will be activated as we stage our rocket. What this shows is that when we activate the next stage, both the engine and the parachute will be triggered. While it could be considered funny to open the parachute and fire the motors at the same time, it's not going to give you much of a flight. To fix this, we need to separate the engine and chute into two stages. If you mouse over the 0 stage, you will see a little plus and minus appear to the left of the box. Click the plus button to add a new stage. If you add too many, click the minus button on the extra ones to remove them. Make sure you have precisely 2 stages. Next, adjusting the staging stack. Excellent. It's important to note that the stages activate from highest number and then count down. So our first stage will be stage 1, and our second one will be stage 0. Now, drag the engine icon from stage 0 down to stage 1 to give our pilot some comfort. Next. That's it. We now have a safe, well, relatively safe craft that's ready to go. Let's make sure that if we need this design again, we don't have to build it all from scratch. At the top of the screen, you will see the name for our craft. untitled spacecraft doesn't seem so majestic. Why don't you change that to be something more your style? And you can add a description if you like to. What should we call it, chat? Go ahead and pick a name. And make it PG. This one, make it PG, okay? Like don't choose something that's R-rated. What should we name this craft? When you use the load screens later, these names and descriptions help you grab the right vessel. When you're happy with a name, click on the save icon on the upper right. The oomph, that's a good one. Alright, Beef Supu, we're gonna call it the oomph. Classic. I'm gonna change the flag here too, to dog speed. So, when you're happy with a name, click on the save icon on the upper right. Save. Next. Summing up. Excellent work. Feel free to play around with the parts and techniques I've shown you. And when you're ready to continue, press the red button in the upper right to exit. Back at the training menu, try the Flight Basics tutorial to learn how to fly this little craft. And then, the Intermediate Construction tutorial can teach you more about the editor. And we're done! Congratulations, dudes, and dudettes, and others. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the first tutorial. Alright, I've been meaning to make this video for like a long time, so I'm glad I finally did it. I guess I need to go edit this now. I'm not really sure if the camera thing was okay. In mid-recording, I realized that, dude, the camera was, I totally set the camera to have the microphone right here, and we kind of don't do that anymore. So it's like, what the crap. But then again, it's kind of cool that the RGB was showing. So maybe I'll move this down. And the next one, we're gonna go with Roy G. Biv in the rainbow. So I guess we will do orange next. Do we have an orange? Oh shit, yeah, we do. We'll do an orange. I don't really have an. You can't even really see it. I don't really have an orange on the wall thing. How's that? Oh shit. Oh, that doesn't even show it. Okay. I guess I just need to scooch more to the right or something like that. Do you guys think I should make the camera bigger? I definitely don't think I should make it bigger. Maybe I should keep it like this. I'm afraid that I'm gonna cover a bunch of text and such. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. This is King Dogspeed signing out, and I'll see you next time.